afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the ABCs of Home Improvement. My name is Mike Ash. I'm one of the co-hosts today. We have Laborio Durario, and we have Earl with us. Earl we brought back because I understand...
We want to thank all the folks out there. Last week when we had the Earl retirement party, hearing that Earl was going to the West Coast to do his mountain climbing and geology studies, we received 136 emails from you folks out there requesting a return show for Earl, to have one more show to come in and talk about actually his specialty, which is, he wants to talk about building envelope, R values, and what would you call that, Earl? Efficiency of the building envelope. Come on, say hello to your fans out there. The 136
yes, first
of
of
them.
all, I'm deeply touched, and the reason why I'm really here today is because the moving van that I do have a printed confirmation did not show up.
Oh my gosh, that's what happens when you use those California guys. You say they come when they want.
You need to practice what you preach. You take the low bidder, and you may be sitting on the sidewalk with all your boxes.
See, Earl, you didn't take your own advice. And what was that quote? That you're back, and we're gonna by the end of the day, we're gonna have a couple of quotes back in there.
For goodness'
Those
sakes.
were the best. That's
simple economic sense.
I'd like to say out of the 136 emails that we did receive, 135 of them were women, Earl.
Nice.
And one was from Mike. He actually sent one in.
I felt bad for you, Earl.
Mike sent one in, and he requested that you come back on the show.
Well, on for bigger and better things, and if not for a certain moving company I will not mention, I would not be here today. But the envelope of the building, we've started with the engineering, the surveying. We've started with the excavating, digging the hole, and the footings, and the basement walls. And we framed a house. We've had the plumbing. We've had the electrician done. We've had all these things done. One thing we haven't touched on yet is the insulation, which is a very important part of the structure and the home. And we're going to talk about that today in detail.
That's important because that affects every monthly bill.
Exactly. People just take it for granted because right away the insulation is covered up with sheetrock. You only see the insulation for a few days.
And all you see is what the builder gives you.
And it's beautiful, and why shouldn't we see it longer, Earl? I think we should at least see it for a week or two.
I don't know how to respond to that one. You got me. No, we don't. You don't want to see it. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to be near it.
But you want to make sure you have enough of it.
Yes. You want to make sure it's done properly.
You don't want to roll around in that stuff. It gets pretty itchy.
The job of the builder or your remodeler, your general contractor, it's their job to make sure it's done correctly, that there's enough of it, that it's done properly. It's a very important part of your home, and we'll touch on retrofitting. Again, we broadcast out to the Warwick, the Chester, Slate Hill, Monroe, Greenville, this area here, Orange County.
It's a zone. There's a zone up here. They have a zone for it to tell you about the R values, right?
Sure.
Yes. And this is a tough climate one, yes.
But the thing is that, you got to have a good contractor to make sure it gets done properly, because we talked with a Scotchy last week, and we scotched on this and we scotched on that about replacing the heat loss with the radiant heat flooring and the smart systems, the smart burners, the smart boilers that they have nowadays.
They have that efficiency level.
And what we didn't touch on, and we'll touch on today, is
maintain the capsule.
Keeping it as long as we can.
Without it regenerating itself all
Without
the time.
having to kick it back on again.
Without that furnace kicking on.
Right. The longer you can keep the heat in your home, the less you have to replace.
Cha-ching.
Yes,
Cheaper it gets.
yes. The cash machine and the it keeps ringing up, and like you said, Mike, cha-ching. So, in New York State here, or the International Building Code in this area, we're talking. The code standards are, right now, they've just been increased about a year and a half ago. They went from R19 in the walls to R21, and from R30 in the ceilings to R38. And the thickness of the fiberglass is from 6 to 6.5 inches of a high-density material. That's the R19 to R21 in the walls. And in the ceilings, R30 is 9.5 inches of fiberglass, and R38 is 12.5 inches of fiberglass. So they've beefed it up again.
How you doing there, Earl? It's always good to
slow. They've beefed it up to slow
to
slow this the loss of heat.
Dissipation of loss.
The loss of heat, and that's what we need to hit on today.
Let's get the folks out there. Get off your cans. Give us a call, 651-1110. and learn about this way to save yourself some energy dollars, because Earl is here to tell you there is a few tricks that even anybody in an existing home, without doing too much work, with just a phone call over here to Earl at American Design and Build, you can, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit, but I'm going to just talk about that blanket in the attic, Earl, real quickly for those folks that, are looking for a quick fix, something really, inexpensive, and a good way, before the winter comes up to save on your energy bills, Earl.
Well, that's what they need to do right now. What you need to do right now is call your insulating contractor or your general contractor, or your remodeler if someone's working in your home presently. We like to recommend Delfino Insulation.
Oh,
over
we
in
do.
Middletown.
Yes. Okay, we do.
Good people.
They're at 845 area code 692-3535. Call Delfino Insulation, and what they'll do is they'll send out one of their salespeople to meet with you and examine your problem. They'll examine what you need to do. For instance, you said heat loss in the ceilings in the attic area. 80% of our heat loss is through the roof. Heat rises.
Exactly.
So that's,
Same in the body. If you don't have a hat on.
That's why I got a hat on.
That's it. So
Yeah.
the same. So we can make some analogies there, right,
yeah,
Mike?
Same thing.
Oh,
So
easy to understand. too.
80% is through the roof. And the way you can see this and identify it is in your own neighborhood. Drive down the road after a snowfall. If we just got 6 inches of snow, pick out the first house that the snow has melted on the roof. And that is the house that is losing the most heat up through the second floor ceiling, up through the
That's
roof. And the rest of the houses, all the roofs are white, and there's one where you can see the shingles. The heat going through the second floor ceiling
Melting it right off.
is melting the snow right off the
And
roof.
there's icicles building up all along the edge.
And you
where
have
it
ice
melts.
damming, and that's another problem we'll talk about
And,
another
and,
time.
and if it was for your body, you'd have icicles from your ears coming off if you didn't have a hat on. It would be melting off your head
And your nose.
and nose. And
Is there anything else, Earl, that you have to be concerned with besides the insulation in the roof? Like a ridge vent, or they call this condensation?
Oh, ventilation, Mike.
Yeah, that's
part
important.
of the insulation package.
Absolutely. The homes nowadays are designed to breathe, and that's all a big part of it, that they have to draw air in through the soffit area. Now we have vented soffits,
Nice,
where
nice.
the air is drawn in.
How do you handle that with the insulation? Do you cover them? Do you back it up a little bit? Do you put something on the edges of the
The
heat
baffles.
There's a baffle. There's
Baffles.
an air channel. These
For those
styrofoam
folks,
baffles.
What do they look like for the folks that open their refrigerators and look in there? What can they equate it to?
Your egg cartons.
Your egg cartons.
styrofoam egg cartons. As if we
Giving
staple that
pictures
upside
to you
down,
folks out there.
up against the sheathing, up against your roof sheathing, to allow air to pass between the soffit area and the insulation that is protecting your second floor, or in a ranch style, your ceiling, your attic
That's right.
ceiling. So
Correct.
that's what this is about today, and we're
All
going
right.
to get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, we're going to go out on a break here for a minute, and we want you folks to give us a call at 651-1110. Let us know about your insulation needs, and if you have any questions about how to make your building more efficient, now's the
Call
time
today.
to call Earl.
Earl's in.